Alright.
Welcome to Smash Writing. I am Paul. This is Justin. Today we are reviewing The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Because we didn't suffer enough in Hill House. We
No.
had to continue our suffering by going to Bly.
Was Hill House suffering? Or did we actually...
The young Nell was devastating and Steve was an asshole.
I mean, it happens. But this one... Go ahead.
This show, first episode. I didn't write down the name of the episode, but don't worry, I'll put it on the screen. It opens with an older woman and she's getting ready to go. She keeps looking at the water. She's going to a wedding rehearsal dinner. Damn, weddings are horrible. She reminded me of most weddings don't end in divorce. How dare you? How dare you? That's what I look forward to.
This
You
is the
keep
guy who was
looking at
at
me.
my wedding.
I still would have done better than your best man. I want you to remember that too.
The second best man. No.
I'd have done better than both of them, and you know it. I hope you're watching, because you know it too. I bailed on the wedding halfway through too. Anyway, she has a ghost story to tell. And she promises it's going to be a long one, and that there are two monsters in this movie. There are children named Miles and Flora. Before we get to that point, though, we go with Danny. We meet Danny. She's in England. She's been in England for 6 months, and she's there to apply for an au pair job. I don't know what that means.
It's so basically it's
Teacher.
no, it's an in-house 24/7 nanny.
All right. Which is separate from the housekeeper.
Yeah, housekeeper's in charge of managing the house. The babysitter is basically that a 24-hour, 7-day week. But her main job is the kids. The housekeeper is the house.
There's a fun little interview because he wants to know why she wants this job because he looks at her age and what this job is tasked for. Like, why do you want this? And she's questioning why this job has still been available for 6 months. And it ends with her at the bar, and he actually comes in, and they have a few drinks, and he tells her the story that this house is, haunted, and that's why you can't give this job away to anyone, especially since the last one died. And she tells him that she's looking for a change, and that she couldn't make a difference in 28 children, but she feels like she can make a difference too. So she gets the job, and we see that she calls home to her mom, and her mom browbeats her over this. And she's got all of these mirrors covered. And when she's about to leave, she uncovers all the mirrors, and she sees the ghost that we see earlier when she sees it in the car mirror. But there's a ghost in the mirror that's haunting her. But she's on her way up to the manor, and we meet Owen, who's driving her. He's the cook. He doesn't like being the Bly. He's kind of tethered there because of his mom, that we learn is sick. And we see the manor, and she walks through the grounds and everything. She asks him to drop her off so she can walk the grounds. That's when we meet monster number 1. Her name is Flora. She's staring out into the lake. She is not perfectly splendid, despite what she may say. Then we meet Hannah, the housekeeper, and monster number 2, Miles. Do the tour and everything. Miles is a perfectly splendid creeper, as we learn. And we also learn that she cannot make coffee or tea or anything for that matter.
That's why she's hired for the kids and not the house.
And Owen's mom is ill with dementia, and Hannah doesn't seem to ever eat. And Flora is constantly staring at people who aren't really there over her shoulder. And we see her dollhouse is very equipped with all these figurines, including one figurine that she insists stays hidden under the dresser at all times. Doll represents the Lady of the Lake. And that's all we hear about from there. At the end of this episode, though, they actually lock her in the room because Flora insists that she stays in her room, which she ignores the first night because she's an adult. She believes she makes good tea. But the second night, though, they actually lock her in the closet. She's pissed off at them, going to rage all hell in the morning. And then we see muddy footprints leading from the door to the Forbidden Zone. She just thinks it's the kids. They're monsters.
Why
End of
not?
episode. The pupil. Pupil is where we meet Jamie for the first time. She doesn't introduce herself, she just goes about her business and everything. And everyone, like, the narrator makes a comment that no one introduces her to Jamie because the way they interact is she assumes that they must have already introduced themselves. And the point of the pupil mostly, for the beginning portion of it, is to show why Miles got kicked out of boarding school. And he was doing a lot. He tried to injure himself, he got into a fight, and what finally did it was him killing a pigeon. Good job. Get out of there. Get away from those creepy people, we'll call them.
Oh.
Your life will be a lot better when you're out of Catholic school.
Jeez, I wonder what the creepers are.
Whenever he does leave, one of the bunkmates finds a letter that he'd received at the beginning of the episode from the sister asking for him to come home. And that's why he's been acting out, is because he's trying to get home to his sister.
Oh.
Yes. He should have done worse than killing that bird. Attack one of the priests.
I mean, that would have really got him sent home ASAP. First offense, you're out.
Back at the house in the current day, what's going on in her story, we see that Hannah's been seeing this crack in this wall that only she can really see, and it's only from time to time. And we see that Flores found a pair of glasses in Danny's bag. That sends her into a full-on panic attack. And we kind of get a little happy moment between Jamie and Danny where Jamie's calming her down a little bit.
Oh.
Because she thinks she's just being pushed by the kids. Which I mean, I'd be having a panic attack around those monsters.
Jesus. This is why you will not be around my daughter alone.
Well, that just puts a creepy air in them. I'm not one of those priests. I just give bad traits.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the episode, they're playing hide and go seek, and Miles locks in a chokehold on Danny at one point. And Flora, though, shushes a ghost, setting up the fact that Flora knows there are ghosts here, and she just, whatever, they're here. But we actually see a guy, we keep seeing it, Danny spots him on the grounds, and that sends her into a panic, but not a bigger panic than when Miles faints. Then we go into the next episode. Two Faces, Part 1. And it's Luke! But now he's playing a character named Peter.
Yes, a complete different.
Yes, he is. He works with Henry, their uncle, and they show us that Rebecca, the former au pair, and their introduction and what she's doing. And she is perfectly splendid. In between the flashbacks of meeting Rebecca and her being seduced by Peter, I will get Luke Oliver Peter. I guarantee I'm going to call them by the wrong name at some point.
We'll try to keep track of that.
Well, Danny calls the cops and everyone. Danny nearly gets shot by Jamie, who comes with a gun. They decide they're all going to stay together to support each other while they try to figure out what's going on with Peter and why Peter's back. None of them liked Peter. Peter is a bad dude, and we learned that throughout this. Yeah, he's a pretty shitty person. But Rebecca is completely enamored by him by the end of this, despite the fact that he is a brick. He's even arguing with Hannah. You don't know him like I do. No, Hannah's known him longer than you.
So yes, technically, no, it's just reverse there.
Yeah.
You don't know him like I do.
By the end, we see there's another moment toward the end of this episode. Oh, well, actually, before we get to there, Owen decides to stay too. And on the second night, he gets a call that his mother has died. And everyone says farewells as he's going home to deal with this situation. And there's another moment between Danny and Jamie. And Jamie leaves. We turn around, and for the first time, the ghost has left. The reflection is now standing behind her. And we cut to black. And now we're going to learn about Danny and her ghost.
Pretty. This episode was pretty messed up. Like, I can't, like, I'll let Justin read the plot, but I cannot imagine, like, this being real and, like, just fucked up. Go ahead.
I have a different take on this episode.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Probably saying, who's the lucky one?
No. We see little Danny and the little ghost boy, whose name is Edmund. And we see him as children, and then we see them as fiancés. And we learn that he really kind of wore her down. He kept asking, she kept saying no, and then finally she said yes, and he's so happy, and she's not happy. And I feel like I could tear into some wedding traditions that are kind of creepy. I won't, but I want it on record that I can if I wanted to.
Oh, God. Do I even want to know?
That wedding dress seems weird. When the mom's trying to get her to wear her wedding dress. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's not a normal tradition.
I think it is. Because I'm willing to bet moms pass their dresses, try to pass their dresses down to their daughters.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't her daughter. That was...
Yeah, but she didn't have a daughter. So she's trying to pawn.
That's the weird part.
But, yeah, you should have given it to Edmund. Bitch. Back in real time, she doesn't want to go to the funeral. She's still shaken up. She feels bad that she can't go, but Jamie's like, it's fine. And she stays behind. But back in her past, we learned that she'd actually broken up with Edmund. That this real fancy dinner. She's like, she didn't want to jump to that. She was like, well, maybe we just tone down the wedding. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I just doing this big wedding because I thought that's what you wanted. I thought you were about to break up with me. And then there's a real long pause, and he's like, oh, no. But they're in the car, and they're arguing with each other. And he's like, oh, did you do this to me? Oh, me, I wore you down after all this time, and you're breaking up with me. And he leaves the car after cussing her out, and he gets nailed by this truck. It is glorious. But the ghost we've been seeing is that moment before he gets hit by the truck, and the lights in his eyes is the lights from the headlights of the truck that creams him into the next world.
You're having fun with this. Oh, you are having real fun.
Oh, glorious. I hope it was painful. But it does
looked like it was kind of instant. So
well, he was still alive on the blacktop when she got to him.
Oh, yeah, that is right. So yeah, that was kind of painful.
She's now haunted by this because the only two people who knew that she was breaking up with him, or he broke up with her, was him, who was just creamed by a truck. So everyone is like broken up, like, oh,
truck driver knew now.
just before your marriage.
Oh.
And that's when she starts to see him in the mirrors, and that's why she leaves the country and goes to England to try to escape
Starts
this.
new life.
And she's afraid of the reflection because she only sees him. Back in reality land, of the story anyway. Real time is the story within the story.
Yeah.
But they have this bonfire, and it's all to toast Owen's mother, and he gives a really, really great speech. And they all leave, and her and Jamie go off into the greenhouse, and they share a kiss. And but for the kiss, she tells Jamie about seeing the ghost of her ex, and Jamie tells out the ghost, like, "Hey, get out of here, dead guy." Well, they share a kiss, but it's cut short because she sees the ghost of the guy.